Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of the Just Us Review. We like to take our favorite shows. They can be in the realm of sci-fi, adventure, horror, classics. We honestly don't care because we're here for the content. And we like to take our favorite shows, break them down, and give you guys that nit and that grit. If we like it, we love it. If we hate it, god damn it, you're going to hear about it. And today, we're going to keep that ball rolling. That's right, Disney Plus decided to satiate the fans by giving us what we want. And that's a whole nother episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's right, episode 2. And in good fashion, the hits keep on coming. But let's go around the room and get everybody's, first opinions of this episode. Christian, how'd you feel?
It was fine, but I got issues.
Okay. How about you, Sid?
I liked it.
All right, John.
I thought it was better than the last episode.
All right, and me, I thought it was great. So let's go ahead and top this. Let's go ahead and pop this top off and talk about the goods of this episode. What are the standout moments? What brought us in here, and what keeps us watching it? What were the goods of this episode? Who wants to start off?
So I'm gonna start something out, and I don't know how good this would be or if it would be a good, but I wasn't expecting them to put Lamar Hoskins in the show.
Me neither.
Now, for those of us who don't know, who's Lamar Hoskins?
Okay. He's essentially his code name's Battlestar, and he's essentially the sidekick to U.S. Agent or John Walker, who is Captain America on this show right now.
Okay.
In the comics, he and 2 and 3 other guys. Okay, so here's how it went. He would have been Captain America. In the comics, Steve gives it up because they're like, we want you to represent the government, the American government. And Steve is like, I don't represent the government. That's the president. I represent American. I represent what it means to be an American, the American dream. And if you can't accept that, I quit. So they gave the title to John Walker, and Lamar Hoskins, his history in the comics is a little iffy because when John Walker became Captain America, he became Bucky. And of course, a white writer is writing this at the time. And back then there was no internet because this was '86. A black reader wrote into the comics and said, "Hey, don't call him Bucky because that's
Some racial epithets to it.
Yes." So the writer Mark Grimwald, he was like, "I didn't realize that as a white man we call y'all so much fucked up shit that I forgot about that one." So he changed it to Battlestar he integrated into the story and changed his code name to Battlestar.
Which now makes sense why in the show Bucky is a little taken back by the combination, because it was like they're really just trying to corporatize who we are as people and present us like we're just a product. So I get that now. That makes more sense now that I know the backstory. Good for me is the main villain. I loved how unassuming she was. When we first run into her, they think that she's just a hostage and just a frail being. Come to find out, she's running this entire organization, and she put hands on my boy Bucky.
And I said it last week. I was like, she's a leader. She's just not acting like it right now. I liked her character too. Like I said, I said this last week when it comes to the Flag Smashers. I like how they're incorporating that character and that concept into more real world aesthetics. It's funny because this show, not that COVID is a good thing, but COVID really pluses this show because all the stuff that the Flag Smashers are fighting against and fighting for, you can kind of look at it through a pandemic lens because their main thing is like, well, you're giving aid to all of the people who got snapped away and not the people who were here. And and we're getting that stuff with the pandemic. And if the snap happened in real life, it would be motherfuckers with the exact same mindset.
But then again, I do see the duality of it. It's like we're trying to. Those were billions of people who were displaced, and now they're just back. And it's like there's only so much resources that we can lend to aiding these people getting back what they lost in the 5 years, and that's a huge adjustment. And that's one thing that I love about this show is that it raises that question, because in the movies we're like, okay, the blood's back, everybody's back.
Exactly.
Oh, I guess party time, I guess. But now it's like there's
Spider-Man and them going to school like ain't shit happening.
Exactly, but now we see there's consequences, economic, resource. Like 5 years, you got to mourn, you got to move on, and you got to establish a new world order. And now things are going back to the same. Of course, there's going to be a paradigm shift where people are fighting back, and I love that part about this.
And again, I wish they had further delved deep into that when it came to Tyler Haywood's psyche over in Marvel Vision, because he is literally doing that, but we don't get to fucking see that. Over here, we are seeing what the consequences are because Avengers lost that time in 2019. And I'll say this, I would even throw that not negativity, but that criticism to Spider-Man Far From Home too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, talk about enough.
what else good do you have?
For me, I want to say the action. The action sequence was pretty dope. As far as the fight on top of the truck, I just think can we retire fighting on top of trucks?
Yeah,
Like
that's not gonna happen.
Well,
Can we just retire
I have
that?
to push back a little bit because there was a lot of things in the sequence that I haven't saw before. Like one, I love how they was sitting there, like jacking up my boy Sam. He's like, you know what, handle my lightweight, throw him to the other truck so he can get stomped out over there. And then Dollar Store Steve Rogers comes out to play like, hey, do you need help? Now he ended up getting tuned up too. So one of my favorite parts of that scene is the fight scene with Falcon and all the maneuvering stuff that he had to do with the wingsuit, which was I thought was amazing. I've never seen that before in the combat reel.
So I'm gonna say this.
Well, there was one part that I noticed real quick that they kind of messed up in the transitions on. When they kicked U.S. Agent new Captain America off the truck, there was no car back there. And then a car magically appeared.
I will say this, and this speaks to what you were saying in our last review, that this really should have been a Falcon show. Like, they are playing him up as the more, in regards to the action scenes and shit like that, they are utilizing him a lot better than I've seen anyone else being used in this show. And there's no shade against Bucky, but like, he literally is the sidekick. Like, and the only story Bucky has going for him is Bucky can't sleep at night because he killed a bunch of people. Well, we gotta talk about it.
I actually have to push back on that just a little bit because this actually goes to my good. I love the interaction between Sam and Bucky at the therapy session. Not the childish stuff was pretty funny, but when he got to the heart of it, Bucky was like, the only person who validates my existence is Steve Rogers. Because of all the messed up stuff I've done, he's been the only person who has seen that I'm redeemable. And
I'm not mad at that. Like, I thought that was all good stuff. My thing has been in these past 2 episodes, they have been all in on Sam, which I'm not mad about. That I really think that Bucky, and this goes to a plus to the writer, because they're like, we can take this character who could also have his own show, but really
tie it into
exactly,
Sam's story.
and they make it not only make sense but have a meaning for why Bucky is around.
Yeah, because like you said, his existence is validated by Steve Rogers, and it's like, if he didn't believe in me, if you gave away what he believes in you, he could have.
What does it say about me? Exactly.
I also think that's interesting, considering one of the things I always thought was interesting about the Captain America dynamic in the MCU, because in the comics, Bucky is a teenager. He is Robin. And so he would look up to Steve like that. But in the movies, Bucky was a grown-ass man, and Steve was the Robin in the first movie. And then when he became Captain America, then they were more partners than hero sidekick. And one of the things that I always thought was interesting was that in the first Captain America and in Winter Soldier, Cap, in my opinion, I don't know if anyone else saw it this way, kind of had like a hero worship when it came to Bucky.
Yeah,
I think, and so it's interesting to see that from the other side now, because for me, at least I always felt like when it came, and you know what, fuck it, in Civil War 2, because he pretty much broke international laws and became a fugitive for Bucky.
Yeah.
Fuck the Sokovia Accords. It was, I guarantee you, even though he had strong feelings about the Sokovia Accords, if Bucky hadn't been involved, he probably would have just let that shit slide and signed the Accords like a year or two later.
We'll speculate on that later.
Yeah.
But another good. Another good that I have is Isaiah. Well, frankly, because I've never known about this character.
Okay, so that's a good and bad for me.
Yeah, me too.
Because Isaiah Bradley's story, y'all have to read it. I collected this book when it came out, and the story was so impactful in the comic. I like that they introduced him into this story. I like I like his meaning for this story. But, and I hate to do this so early since we're still in the good.
We'll wait then.
So I'll wait. But I really like his introduction and his impact and what that means to Sam. Isaiah Bradley, Sam, and Battlestar represent, in my opinion, 3 different types of black men when it comes to superheroes in this show. And Sam is in the middle because he's straddling between both. Because Battlestar in this show comes off as shuck and jive a little bit.
I wouldn't say that.
Not all the way, but...
I'll push it further than half.
Well,
About 70%.
I push back on that because all he's like is like, we've been in combat. I've been rolling with you this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what happens, I got your back.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. He was like that in the comics too, but there was a current U.S. agent book out, and they deconstructed and took down Battlestar, and he's saying exactly what he's been saying.
I'm going based off the show.
I'm going based off the show.
Yeah.
So,
he comes off very black magical Negro.
So here's the thing. I mean, a lot of that is in the show too.
I'm interested to hear that. But okay.
But I'll tell you why. Well, where I got it from. For all we know, he has no superpowers.
Okay.
He's not even as strong as John Walker, and John Walker right now, as we know, does not have the super soldier serum. He doing that based off he the strongest that can do it.
Okay.
And this motherfucker swung out of a helicopter, and he wasn't even good at it he wasn't even good at it to help this white man, and it's like, I know you're a soldier, but you could have died.
Well, here's the thing, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, these dudes are trained to do this because they're from their pedigree.
So where's his weapon?
I don't know what he's gonna say.
Exactly, that's my point. Not only did they give John the shield, this motherfucker is packing the heat. Because I would have to say this too. Apparently, they tested these people. They tested different people, and that motherfucker apparently was the it person. Okay, fair enough. But then you bring in Lamar, and he has a costume and a name too. So did they test this motherfucker?
But my thing is, their resume has already been presented that they've all been special.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing, and this is where I'm getting at. In the current comic, they say that exact same thing. And Battlestar fights this other black guy that is now U.S. agent. He just took the shit from him. and he tells him, you're faster and stronger, and you tested higher than John Walker, and yet you was content to shuck and jive with this dude.
This is based on the comics, right?
So here, that's the comics. But this is the thing I'm talking about. They gave John Walker the shield and a gun.
Okay.
They didn't give this motherfucker nothing.
We don't know what he rocking with.
Yes, we do, because we saw it. I'm sorry. If I'm fighting super soldiers and I'm getting my ass kicked, it's time to bust out the pistol.
Okay. Glad you said that, because we all know from past fights, Sam keeps two strapped on him.
Yes.
So why
and Bucky packs the heat too.
So why didn't Sam whip him out?
That's a good question.
Okay, so you can't front Battlestar.
But Sam has wings.
Wait. So
wings that double as a shield.
Wait. And we also know that in most fights, Winter Soldier either has a knife or a gat. So you can't blame Battlestar.
Winter Soldier also has a vibranium.
He does. But you can't front
he's a super soldier.
You can't front Battlestar for not breaking out weapons.
Yes,
at the same time, you can't not pointing the finger at Sam. So my thing is also this: Sam
has wings.
Wait.
Sam spent most of the time in
the air. Let me finish. This is also close quarter combat. You ain't whipping out no gun because we saw. We saw what happened when old dude pulled out his gun. They immediately restrained him, and he almost shot his partner.
Well, that doesn't sound like a very good Captain America.
Okay, in what scene have we ever seen them draw guns that close in the proximity? Please, I would like to know.
In the Marvel universe or just in general?
In the movie universe, please.
John Wick.
The Marvel universe. The Marvel.
You said the movie universe.
Yes,
to me, that's every movie ever. So John Wick.
So I'm glad you got to jump on that limb.
So John fucking Wick.
I'm glad you got to jump on that limb over there.
So my thing is. You tested and you the strongest white man to white man. So that tell me you better than John Wick. You should have been able to bring out the burner and it not be a problem.
Argument failed. Moving on to my next good. The interaction between the police and Sam. Let me explain why. Because, and this also correlates to the whole bank issue, is that no matter your title or who you are, he's just another black man in the street to the cops.
And I get that, and you are 100% correct on that. Let me tell you why I thought that was a little wonky. They in Baltimore, Maryland, they clearly in the hood. Who called the police?
Oh, you don't have to a lot of times. Sometimes they just drive
in the hood.
Yeah, in the hood they won't. This goes with over policing because. And that's another thing. Police are designated to patrol quote unquote high crime areas, and this is where the whole stop and frisk thing was coming into an issue where you patrol a neighborhood, you think somebody looks suspicious, and then you just pull them over and say what you doing. So that's also another end to it too.
So what was suspicious about both of them?
It was literally no, it wasn't both of them. It was literally Sam.
But he was right next to Bucky.
That didn't matter because the cops said, "Hey, sir, is he bothering you?"
But see, here's the problem with that. There were white people in that neighborhood as well.
Were there?
So, yes. There were white people in that neighborhood. I saw white people in that neighborhood as well.
I didn't see any.
I saw them.
But again,
we can pull up the
my other major thing about that scene was shit, I had it and I lost it.
It was just a little hammy to me.
Well, granted, but I feel also. Actually, that's so bad for me. I'm gonna wait.
So I have a problem with the scene, but I'll wait for the bads because it's a generalization of
So I think we'll save that scene for the bads. But what I was gonna say is that scene serves the purpose of getting them to the psychology scene. And it looks like they just used it as a bit of commentary, and that other commentary is just going to be peppered in like this throughout the series.
Yes.
And instead of being overarching, I do think it was a bit hammy, and I'll tell you why in the bad.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and migrate over to those bads.
Mm-hmm.
Although this show had its pluses, there were a few negatives that stood out. Let's go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, I would like to say something in regards to my first bad. So I don't want to see anybody in that show be Captain America. and here's why. I get what they're trying to do with Sam's arc and everything like that, but he's a piece of shit and an insufferable asshole, especially with his interaction with Winter Soldier. Could you be a fucking person for 5 minutes without cracking some immature joke or, going, not cluing him in on his plan in regards to the mission they were having and leaving him behind and all of that shit. It was annoying. What's his name? John Walker, he's a piece of shit and an asshole. None of you should have the shit.
I'm gonna push back on that. I think John Walker is just I'm doing this because they making me do this.
He can turn it down.
Well, can he really? He's one of the most decorated people in the military. He's like, my country's asking me to do this. This is an honor, so I'm just doing this because they want me to do it. As far as Sam,
no, he really wants to do it. It's not that they making him do it. He really wants to do it.
But as far as Sam, I actually like the banner between him and Bucky because it gives me that buddy cop vibe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I'm pushing back. If they were all kumbaya and then not eyeball this a little sideways. But I like the fact that Bucky's angry at him for going against Steve's wishes, and Sam is like, I'm a grown man, I do whatever the hell I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that fact that they butt heads. It's almost like they're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just gonna push back.
But my thing is so here's the thing. I get that, but this motherfucker is trying to have a conversation with you about it, and you're not trying to hear it. You would either want to crack a joke or get unreasonably angry or throw out some vague bullshit and deflect the conversation. And I'm like, can we just not?
But technically, he don't owe Bucky any explanation.
The therapy session kind of denotes that what you just said there, especially with what Bucky said about the validation and stuff like that.
And who's to say Bucky doesn't understand? He knew Isaiah, and he knew what his trauma was and what he stood for.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll
it's just Sam won't stick around and have a damn conversation.
Exactly. I say this to turn that around. Sam got real pissed when he was like, "Why didn't you tell me there was a black super soldier?" Bucky don't owe you that explanation.
That is true.
So, but Bucky told him why, because he was trying to be a person. And that's kind of so I'm glad y'all brought that up because that's been my overall bad, and I wanted to wait until another episode before
to see if it was consistent.
To see if it was consistent. I do not like Anthony Mackie's acting.
What?
It's kind of artificial.
It's why they compare him to Will Smith, right?
Because thank you. He is trying to be Will Smith so hard.
Yeah.
He's like
so hard.
I do get Independence Day vibes from him.
Yeah, he's doing the Anthony. He's basically found his. He found his role, not role, like he found his method.
Okay.
And now that's what he brings to every movie. He hops out.
And I like the Falcon character. I think he's doing a serviceable job playing the Falcon, but I don't. So one of the things I was worried about, and the only thing that's really pulling it is the strength on the people around him, like his sister or Isaiah and even Bucky. I was really concerned about how they were going to tackle all these important issues when it comes to Sam with him playing the role, because he comes off as just, I'm just getting it, not getting it for a paycheck, but like it don't feel real coming from him.
Well, I'll just say it.
Have you?
I actually like the acting coming from him, but you know what?
And that's just him.
Have you seen The Banker?
Yes.
Now, granted, he didn't bring all of that he's doing with Falcon and other movies into that role because of the tone of that movie. But at the same time, can you kind of see what he was doing?
I see 100%. I have the same issue with Terrence Howard.
He played a more mature, older.
And that's why. And going back to Terrence Howard, that's why I was like, I'm glad Don Cheadle is War Machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I get what you guys saying.
And you know Don Cheadle knows.
To capitalize on your bad, what you were just saying, it's with the comedy too. And I get what they were trying to do, and it kind of harkens back for me a movie that their interactions remind me of in regards to that type of relationship with Step Brothers.
Yeah.
But they kind of lean a little bit too much into it at times. The prime example, Bucky and the staring. That was some shit that John C. Reilly was doing in Step Brothers when they came up on a motherfucker they didn't like, which was what's his name's brother, Derek. And you know, I kind of got those vibes from him, but at the same time, it's like, stop.
Well, I see what you mean, because I was thinking the same thing. It was like, for me, it was a mixture of Step Brothers and Bad Boys 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I see where they're going, and some of it is hit and some of it is missed sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my bad if this is, I honestly believe Sam didn't take the shield because he knew how America would respond to a black Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's why he didn't take it, and I believe that he's just not saying that.
So let me jump off of that. And I'm not pushing back. I just want to capitalize off of what you were saying. Yes, but that goes back to one of the problems I was having in regards to the interaction with Bucky and them trying to have that conversation. It shouldn't have to be fucking implied. Tell him that and get it out of the way.
Because I felt like that ever since episode 1. Rhodey was him and Rhodey were like, you know, and he was like, I know. That's why he's like, okay, but you know.
And piggybacking off of what you said and piggybacking off of my previous bad, this is one of the reasons I have with Anthony Mackie, and this is a little bit writing too. Like, you don't get to be serious. Like, we don't. It's almost like Sam expects us to be serious, or expects everybody around him to be serious when he's ready to be serious. But when he's ready to joke and play, and everybody's like, yeah, but I want to talk to you like a person, then it's like, they calling you White Panther and shit. And it's like, motherfucker, no. I came to you as a person, and you're acting like an asshole. And then when it's time to be serious, why didn't you tell me about a black super soldier? And it's like, oh, now you want to be a person. Now your feelings are now important because it's about you. Exactly.
No more jokey joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and you had another bet?
I mean, not really, but like black. What do you call him?
Black
Falcon. Black Falcon. He makes you black kid. Yeah, he's black kid.
I actually like that one because like it harks back to the time when every hero had that moniker of black, something like
they
this.
Still
like
do.
that.
Yeah.
They now because of the past naming conventions and stuff.
I feel like that joke should have been saved for either Luke Cage or for Black Lightning.
Doesn't make sense for Luke Cage, but Black Lightning, yes.
Somewhere in Luke Cage.
But even Black Lightning made reference to it.
Mm-hmm. But like in these days, like every character that's a black person that has black in their name, they have a reason for why that is. Like Black Lightning explains why he goes by that moniker.
Like,
Black Falcon.
It's like it doesn't for me, and this could be something super minor. This part we're talking about, but like to me, it didn't work in that world because only person goes by that is Black Panther.
Exactly.
And like, okay, so are you acknowledging
That's
other
not,
superheroes?
That's not true. Black Widow, and we all know that Scarlett Johansson is a strong black woman.
That's true.
So she was really offensive. but to me, I was a little iffy on it because, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about how I feel like there's 3 different types of black men, and Falcon is in the middle because that came. And maybe I'm using the wrong terminology or whatever, but that whole thing came off a little respectability politics-ish. And it was like, yeah, that sounds like something Anthony Mackie would say in real life. Because and I say that because also in that, because the point I got out of that scene is the reason why that boy's grandfather calls him Black Falcon is because he's proud of the fact that he is a black superhero that you can see. Because of the three black heroes, you cannot see Rhodey and you cannot see Black Panther.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that one, and this goes to the whole identity thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I put that in the same vein of people of color occupying other positions. So if Captain America was Sam, people refer to him as the Black Captain America instead of Captain America.
That would make sense, but there is no other Falcon.
No, which is okay, which still doesn't make sense that you call him Black Falcon.
Joaquin Torres, but we not getting it.
but my point for why he
I don't like Joaquin.
but my point for why he calls him Black Falcon is because I got out of the scene that's a black man that's proud to, as far as he knows, see the first openly black superhero out there. And so that's why he personally calls him Black Falcon, and that's why his grandson calls him that. Because like I said, Black Panther is black, but he does wear a full body suit and you can't see his face. And War Machine wears a full body armor, and you don't know what he is until the helmet comes off.
Which is funny that you say that this is the only black guy that you can see. Yet whenever he runs into police or people in positions of power, they don't recognize him.
Exactly.
I'm like,
and that's really funny and interesting. Oh, sidebar. I don't know if this is a bad or not. When the fuck did Bucky become an Avenger?
He's always been an Avenger.
No.
What movie did they dub him an Avenger?
He got dubbed an Avenger.
Is Gamora an Avenger? If you're throwing out Endgame,
actually, yeah, all of them Avengers.
Sure.
So all of Wakanda Avengers.
You damn right. You damn right they are. When the entire nation stands,
I just want to know you keeping that same energy.
When the entire nation stands
Is
up.
Wong an Avenger?
Hold on, wait a second. I gotta get this off my spirit. An entire nation of black people
let you come there and wreck they shit when the aliens came.
Fought off in an alien invasion, and my boy M'Baku was in the front of the pack. So you goddamn right he's an Avenger.
I want to fight that because of the buggy shit, but I'm not going. You got it.
Who do you see with the spirit? That vegetarian motherfucker. And he was keeping pace with Steve Rogers. You goddamn right here, Avenger. Shit.
Okay.
The Avengers run deep.
Exactly. They call long goes long. As I was saying.
Is Wasp an Avenger?
Yeah.
Yep.
By proxy.
Even Janet Van Dyne, her too.
Okay, I have a bad. Let's dig into it.
Okay, check us out.
Isaiah Bradley. And it wasn't the scene, and it wasn't everything that carried out. I know this is gonna be, but there's a reason. They changed his origin, and I do not like that because I feel like for a show that's exploring the impact of Black Captain America, they pumped out.
They went halfway, if not just a little bit more, but they didn't go all the way.
I'm gonna push back because basically they signaled what America thought of black people, no matter what capacity.
Yeah,
Because
you're
they
gonna
were-
get that. Yeah,
because they were like the Winter Soldier was wilding out, and they was like, we only got one man who can handle him, and they sent him in to bust his ass. So he's like, yeah, I'll beat your ass. And then they say, you know what they did to me for that? They put me in the cell and treated me like a test animal.
John wants to go one step further.
Let me tell you why I feel like that wasn't enough and why they punked out. Because the way they're explaining it in this show, he got the super soldier serum during the Korean War. And they never called him Captain America. He was just a strong nigga. That's it. But in the comics,
He is the first.
he is the
Captain
first.
America.
Not only is he the first black Captain America, he is the first Captain America. Period.
Well, here's the thing, and we know this even through the historical context, that if any human experimentation was going to be done, it was going to be done on black people first.
Yeah,
and so
and-
that's what's gripe is. Like, why just let the show just take it there?
That scene where he gets mad at Bucky for not telling him that there was a black super soldier, that should have been, why didn't you tell me there was a black Captain America? And they punked out. And I don't and the thing is, I don't even understand why they changed it.
I think they're setting something up for later.
Well, I think their biggest issue was they have to explain why he doesn't look. I mean, granted, he
because of the
aged
super
up,
soldier serum.
but he would have to be well over
100 years old because of the super soldier serum.
Yeah,
Like-
but even Bucky was put on ice. Cap was put on ice.
Bucky was put on ice not to retard his aging, but because they didn't want the brainwashing to wear off.
I mean,
They wanted to keep him fresh all the time.
What I'm going to say is, I don't think we're done with Isaiah.
You're probably right, but off the rip, Korean War, he was not
Like,
Captain America.
They literally established what they wanted to establish with that character's origin.
What war did Isaiah Bradley fight in?
World War II, because when they tested the super soldier serum, he was the last black man left, and it worked, and that was the serum, because every time they tested it on a black man, like, that motherfucker would die. In earlier stages, these motherfuckers would literally blow up. And they was like, okay, we gotta reduce the formula and shit like that. And he was the very last one. And Steve had no idea, but they had already picked Steve, and so Steve was just like in waiting. So then like a skirmish pops off or something, and they're like, we there's no time. Let's get the formula to Captain America. And he's like, yo, I'm ready to go. And they're like, sit down, nigger. And so he's like, all right, cool. He steals the shield, steals the costume, and he goes and fights that skirmish. And he wins that skirmish, and they're like, good job. Get out of the car, please. You're under arrest. And he stays in jail throughout all the way up until like the 90s. Or the early 2000s. And the reason why that's so impactful is because throughout the years, he's a war criminal. Every black Marvel hero comes and visits him in prison. He wasn't in a Japanese jail. That motherfucker was in an American military prison because he stole that suit. And that's why when I see that, I'm like, they pumped out. They could have went first.
And considering the weight that character's name carries in the Marvel universe, you can't put his name out there and it not be associated with him being the first Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to give them...
It's actually almost kind of reminiscent of Monica Rambeau.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it a little leeway because I believe that they will dedicate at least an episode to probably doing a backstory with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said we're on episode 2 and we just met the character, but I guarantee you this ain't the last time we're going to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sam needs to get some stuff answered.
Mm-hmm.
Any more bats?
This is kind of a minor one. I feel like the scenes that take place one by one were kind of contrived into how we get there because, and maybe this was me not paying attention, I'm trying to figure out exactly why they went to go see Isaiah. And then I'm trying to figure out why they needed to have therapy in the police station.
That was one of the conditions of him being released.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why he got put in jail.
That
He
was
missed
how
his therapy.
he missed his
appointment.
therapy.
Okay, but then why did Sam need to go? He was not obligated to do that, other than visit.
Because Sam had brought up one of the main reasons why Bucky was having issues with people on the outside, and he was like, okay, since this is going to be our last session because Captain So-and-so is overriding me right now, I'm going to go ahead and do something I'm not supposed to do, put you guys into a room so you guys can hash out whatever issues are, because after this point, I will have no more authority to give you the therapy that you need.
Yeah, I took that as less of an official session and more of a, you guys are clearly
team building.
Yeah, well, not just team building, but I can tell y'all out there doing Avengers shit, and it's only y'all because Hulk ain't coming out of the house. So I need y'all to save the world that I got snapped back. I just got snapped back into the world. I need y'all to save it and do it right, because I don't trust. Even though we worked together back in the day, I thought he was a douche. So I need. But
So all in all,
no, theories.
so
Nah. Except for that Zemo is playing 4D chess and he's the power broker. But
I mean, the only other theory I can throw out there is that Eli is on the way.
yeah, I mean, but that's kind of common. They pretty much introduced every young Avenger by now.
So as you guys can see, this episode started off great, but of course there were some underlying conditions going on that had us with questions about where they're going. Marvel has done a great job taking 2 steps in the right direction, so we're going to keep following this saga until its conclusion. Right? Again, it had our curiosity, now it has our attention. And although Sam has his
Ways.
issues,
His ways.
He has his ways.
Yeah.
Some of us are starting to come around to it. Some of the others, you got some ways to go. I thank you guys for joining us for this session. Like and subscribe. Tell us what you think is coming at the bottom. And I guarantee you might be wrong. But until next time, still better than WandaVision.
I mean, you're not lying.